man. Look at that hair. That sexy hair that just will not pat down. My hair won't go down. Look at it. I pat down, it stands up. I pat down, it stands up. Anyway, hey, guys and girls, this is just an update on all the rigs, all the trucks, all the things that have come in the last couple of days, and the main reason why you haven't seen any videos for a little bit. Now, you'll have to excuse my desk. It's a little bit wobbly, so my camera does bounce up and down. Can't do anything about it. The monitors I use are a little bit crappy with the stands, so yeah, have to live with it. So, just an update on you all. Right. Okay. Now, I have made it. Thank you, little rascal, for dropping in. Good to see, good to see. Good to see you here. Yeah, look at that. I can type. All right. Oh, look, I had 2 views and then someone dropped off. Well, it's just the way things go. Just to give you guys an update on what happened. I was working on my Isuzu D-Max 6x6, and I accidentally broke my 1.5mm Team Magic driver. As you can see, that's a little small. Now, I have had these drivers ever since my early racing days. So they've been with me for quite some time. And I broke it. So I splurged out and bought a whole new set of Team Magic drivers. I use Team Magic because, honestly, I've never had a hex stripped with them ever. And I mean ever. And you're like, well, why did you just get a 1.5mm to replace the 1.5mm you broke? It's cheaper for me to buy a whole set than it is just to buy one. So that's what happened. I'm screwing around with some 1.55 tires. Nice. Good to see. So yeah. So I now have a whole. What do you mean snap-on? Snap-on. Team Magic, man. Team Magic is where the magic is. None of this snap-on stuff. I mean, the snap-on van is where, you've got to bend over before you go in. You pay an arm and a leg for snap-on stuff. I wouldn't be using snap-on stuff for RC. If I was a mechanic and getting, a payment plan with snap-on for tools, then yeah, I'd use snap-on, but not for RC stuff. The best tools for RC are companies who deal with RC. And Team Magic have had some of the best racing chassis I know of. So that's why I've stuck with Team Magic for my tools. I don't skimp on my tools. I might skimp on the RCs. I do not skimp on tools because they are what fixes your RC. So if you skimp on your tools, then you're going to be wondering why you strip hexes, why you snap things. Now, to tell you the truth, I snapped this by treating it badly. That was my bad. Not the tool's fault. Not the tool's fault at all. That was me being stupid. And technically, yeah, it still works. It still works. It's just when you're building an RC, you need that extra length. That's what she said. You need the extra length to actually get in and tighten down things like drive shaft hexes and things like that. Snap-on drivers have a lifetime warranty. That's subject, I believe. There's always a clause. Whenever something has a lifetime warranty, there's always a clause, such as if we find that you were misusing this tool, we therefore won't warrant your repair or your replacement. So you got to be careful when things say they have a lifetime warranty, because sometimes they might say the lifetime of that tool is only 12 months. So got to be careful there when something says it has a lifetime warranty. Anyway, enough about the tools. There's plenty of those on the internet. Let's cover what turned up for me this week. As you guys would know, we are doing a build-off series on the Magnified Forum. So I'm glad to say a few more things have turned up for my build-off truck. Now, it is not finished. No. This is what it looks like. I've decided against all my beliefs to actually rock the black tires on it. So yeah, it's not complete. So you guys who tune in for my live stream get a sneak preview of my build-off truck. So what's turned up for that this week was we have snorkel, ribber, winch ESC, which I've now plastic coated. So the winch ESC is there. So that'll be operated off the third channel. Let's see. The winch is already mounted onto the bull bar, so that's there. Then we've got the ESC. Now this is a new Rain ESC. I'm not sure my camera will pick up that. It's a new Rain 320 amp ESC, which works out to be only about a 60 amp ESC continuous. And it basically has, 3-cell LiPo, a 5-volt, 3 amp BEC built in. That's pretty dang good, considering most ESCs only have a maximum of about maybe a 5-volt, 1 amp BEC built in. So this has got a 5-volt, 3 amp BEC, and it basically has all the modes you could possibly want for any RC. So you've got an option for, of course, LiPo or nickel metal. I always run nickel metal. Don't lose the head of this snorkel. I'll try not to. Anything can happen on the trails. That's why you need to film your RCs. This one has all the modes you could possibly want for your RC. So if you're, into, say, drifting, it'll have forward, brake, and reverse. If you're into crawling, it has forward and reverse with drag brake. And then if you're into racing itself, then it's just got forward and brake. So it'll lock out the reverse for you. So all the modes, LiPo and nickel metal hydride, waterproof too, which is really handy. So I don't have to worry about this getting, damaged. It's waterproof, so I can fully submerge it when I go off on the trails. So yeah, quite happy with it, to be honest. So that's the new Rain ESC. Only cost me about, $30 or so. Shame that Dean's plug won't be staying. No, you're right. I change all my plugs to Tamiya. That's because my entire collection runs on Tamiya plugs. It's not high current. It's not high voltage RCing. So the Tamiya plugs work fine. I mean, if I was racing, then yeah, I'd keep the Dean's plug because Dean's plug are high current, high voltage. So if I was running in racing, of course I'd use Dean plugs. But on my trail rigs, I use Tamiya plugs. Why? Because a 3-year-old could connect a Tamiya plug together. Whereas a Dean's plug is exceptionally hard to solder to, especially when you have the motor skill problem that I have. I cannot solder onto a Dean's plug. I can't do it. So yeah, there's that. And then the Dumbo Rc X6 transmitter. This will be going on to my build rig, to my build-off rig, sorry. And it's going to be used well. It'll be powering light kits. It'll be powering the winch. It'll be doing all that good stuff. So yeah, this is the controller that will be going on to the build-off rig. And all that turned up this week. So I'm rather happy about that. So yeah, so there is my build-off truck. It is not complete. I've still got to do things to it. So it's just mocked up at the moment. It's not finished. The purple to silver paint fade job did turn out all right. But yeah, so those of you who watched me live can get an update. Those of you who missed this live stream, shame on you. Now, moving on to the next one. Dun, dun, dun. That would be the ZP1001. This bad boy is a toy grade RC, but I have just completed its complete strip out. As you can see, it's now running extra long full droop shocks. So it's got a lot more flex than the standard ZP1001. I've also installed a new Metal Gear 5kg servo. It's a micro servo. That's the difference on this truck. Is you think, oh, I'll just buy a standard servo and I'll bolt it on. No, it's a micro servo that goes onto this thing, not a standard servo. And I made the mistake of thinking that I needed a 25 kilo servo when I actually needed a 25 gram servo. So this is a JX servo. It slots in. It's a direct factory replacement. This bad boy is now also running a Surpass Hobby ESC. Unfortunately, not water resistant, so I'm going to have to be very careful when I'm driving off-road not to think that this thing can go through all the deep puddles in the world. I will try and put it into a waterproof compartment, but I'll just have to be a little bit wary that it won't be as waterproof as the rest of my trucks. I'm still waiting on a program card to program the ESC so it'll have a drag brake. Because apparently the Surpass Hobby ESC that I put in it, the drag brake is switched off. It's not turned on. So I will have to install a program card and program the drag brake in, but that'll hopefully come in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, so this will be given a trail run before too long. Maybe even tomorrow. We'll see. Now, the problem when you upgrade the electronics in these things is you lose the LEDs in the front headlights and the tail lights. You lose them. They're only a 3 watt or 3 volt LED. So when you change the battery up and when you change the ESC, you lose the LEDs. Unfortunately, it's just a side effect of upgrading the electronics in the HB ZP1001 or 1002 as what this one is. Okay, so that's happening. I'll just pop the lid off. It takes a little bit of work to get done, but that's what it looks like underneath. Now, I have worked on this chassis and I have basically molded an area in the back where I can fit a proper battery pack in it, because standard it comes with two 1850. Hey, Bob Kid, thanks for joining us, mate. Standard, it just comes with two 1850 LiPo cells, so a 2S LiPo, and it's kind of dodgy, not going to lie. Not the best battery in the world. So I've molded out the chassis so I can fit a proper pack into the back. And so, yeah, that's been all molded out and customized by me. I've added my own battery strap in because the factory battery would be locked into here. And this is where I've decided to put the receiver. So the receiver's going in here. Yeah, other than that, it's a 540 motor. What else is there? Oh, yeah. Factory, it comes with over 300 grams of metal weights. Now, I removed them from the back because that's where the battery is going to sit. I've removed them from the back, but it has an additional 300 grams worth of weight. That's how heavy these things are. They put weights in it to give you some kind of feeling of it as being a solid vehicle. Now, you can get replacement parts for this thing. You can get them. The diffs can be bought separately. They're only about $25 Australian for the diffs, so you can replace the diffs on it if they break. I guess you could even, do an axle swap on it, but the transmission just uses elongated dog bones. So, it's going to be hard to get like an SEX10 transmission bolted in here because it is a plastic chassis. It's molded on, as far as I can see, it's molded on what looks like a TRX4, but instead of it having individual chassis rails, it's just one solid piece of plastic all the way through. So it's kind of like they looked at a TRX4 and went, oh, yeah, we can make ours look like that. But they casted it as one giant piece of plastic. So, yeah. But once you've done an electronic swap on this thing to a better quality servo, better ESC, that can be a quite good little off-roader. Now, the tires and rims, these actually have an 8mm hex, but as I found out recently, they're actually a 12mm hex wheel and tire, just with an adapter on the inside. So you could replace these rims and tires with whatever you want, as long as they're a 12mm hex. You can just pull the adapter out of these wheels, put them in the wheels that you want to have, and you could change them out. So yeah, that's kind of a good thing. Now, these are a beadlock, but they're held together by screws, not by hex bolts. So they're held together by Phillips head screws. So they are a beadlock. They're just held together with screws instead of hex. So yeah, quite interesting. But yeah, I will get this thing out on the trails at some point, probably even today, later on today. I don't know. It's just whatever Mother Nature lets me do outside is what I'll be doing. So yeah, so that is my HB ZP1001. It is toy grade, but you can sort the electronics out on it, do a few upgrades, and you get quite a decent crawler for less than $200. And that's with the upgrades. I mean, that's hard to beat. The standard truck you could literally just trail with from the get-go, but you know, if you had a mate who wasn't sure if he wanted to get into crawling or not, if he wanted to get into trailing or not, you could just buy the HP ZP1001 and run it as stock. It's quite a decent vehicle. The only things I would recommend is venting the rims, because as they are now, they're pneumatic, so they're full of air. And when you go on the rocks, if they're full of air, they don't flex. So you just got to vent the rim, and you're good to go. But I decided, I want to make mine a little bit more hobby spec. So I replaced all the electronics in it, replaced the shocks. But yeah, so we'll see how that thing goes off-road. I'm going to say it's probably going to perform just as good as a stock CC01. But we shall see. We shall see. It might even surprise me and perform better. But yeah, that is an update on all the rigs. So, yep, build-off rig. All the parts have now arrived for it, which is awesome. I love that. So all the parts have arrived, so I can get on building that. I'm still waiting on a couple of things to come in for the 6x6. As you would have seen at the beginning of the stream, that I broke my Team Magic 1.5mm driver. To give you an idea, that's how long it's supposed to be. So yeah, I was working on the 6x6 doing a diff swap, and it didn't work out. So I've ordered more parts for my 6x6. So I'm going to turn the Isuzu 6x6 into a metal diffed 6x6 instead of having those HGP weird axles. It's getting fully swapped over to some 4-link diffs, so I've got to work on that. But I've just got to wait for them to arrive. There's still more parts coming in for the build off, but they're going to be cosmetic parts, not electronics. So I'm probably going to crack on trying to get that finished up and wrapped up. So yeah, those who join me for the live stream get an update on my build off rig. And unfortunately, those who didn't join me will never know, because I'm not going to save this live stream. I'm not going to enable playback. So from now on, if you miss a live stream, you miss the live stream. So there you go. But thank you all for joining me today. That just gives you an update on what's going on. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Until next time, I will say bye for now. See ya.